Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the PIPCAST, your Pip-Boy supported podcast. Today's episode is sponsored by Nuka-Cola Quantum, taking a classic to the next level. My name is Tony Moe and I'm joined by my co-host Kato Genesis, and we have a chock-full episode of awesomeness for you guys today. So much stuff to talk about, so much news. So much news.
A lot of good things.
A lot of good things. There's some small stuff too. They actually recently revealed the file size for Fallout 4 on the Xbox One anyways, which kind of does give us an indication of probably what size we can expect on the PlayStation 4 as well as on the PC. They're saying it's like 28 gigs, almost 30. PC will probably be at least 5 gigs more, it usually is, so if you don't have a hard drive cleared up for Fallout 4, you should probably get to that. On a bigger note though, let's talk about 3 Dog. We should talk about 3 Dog, Kato, right? I feel like we should talk about 3 Dog.
Eric Todd Dellums was a little disappointed.
He was, so it's pretty much been confirmed. A lot of you guys probably know this has been a couple weeks now that 3 Dog has not been asked back. The voice actor hasn't been asked back to be in Fallout 4. Obviously, there's a million reasons this could be possible, but I think for a lot of us, it's a bit sad. He was a very important part of Fallout 3, and he's also become a very important part of Fallout, you know, as it is, as the franchise as a whole. And
for a lot of people that were following him too, he was giving teasers over time, like even during the last several years, that he could possibly be, like, people were using him as a reference for Fallout 4 news and speculation and all that stuff because of the teasers that he was handing out. But it turns out that he didn't get called back to Bethesda to do the voice, so that's a little sad. A little sad.
It is. It's like, and you and I were talking about this, Kato, you know, I feel it's just gonna be hard, man. You know, it's like we have to obviously have the radio stations. It's become integral. It's like Grand Theft Auto has all of the music on the radio stations, and Fallout has, you know, the Wasteland Wandering radio stations that you pick up. They're so important to the Fallout experience.
Yeah.
So it's like they have to capture a new character. I have no doubt that Bethesda's capable of searching and casting a person that can, you know, be just as great as he was with 3 Dog, as well as, you know, Mr. New Vegas with Wayne Newton and stuff.
Yeah.
But we're just gonna see. It's sad. I would have liked to see him come back, and like you said, there was so much building up to it before we even knew about Fallout 4. He was kind of the guy. Everybody was like, "Hey, he said this. Fallout 4 is definitely real." You know.
Yes.
So that's a bit sad. But moving on, the loot crate that we talked about a couple weeks ago, that finally went live, and it also got messed up, as you were telling me, Kato. So how'd this whole thing go down? I mean, I know they sold out within like the first 2 days, but apparently there was some other ruckus.
Yes, the people that I feel like Loot Crate servers were just not prepared at all. My roommate could give a better idea. Roommate Kite, she ordered the Loot Crate, and then like nothing happened, and I think she was charged like 2 or 3 times. But then, yeah, it's just a lot of people were just charged multiple times, and Loot Crate was not prepared for the flood of Fallout fans.
Yeah, and it didn't end up being. I mean, I didn't expect it to be cheap. I guess I know Loot Crate's relatively cheap on its own, but it was a limited edition. It was like $100. It's like $100, right?
Yeah.
And I know there was like talk of like t-shirts and stuff like that. So if you got one and you dealt with the ruckus, let us know what your experience was with that. If you ended up actually picking it up, or if you just canceled the thing as a whole because you were pissed about being charged $4 grand for a Fallout themed Loot Crate. Let us know your experience down in the comment section below. I definitely would like to hear more about this, because today was actually the first time that I heard there was any mess up with that. So
yeah. Well, Kite will hear this too, and she'll let you know like more details on what happened.
Yeah, keep an eye out down in the comment section to hear her full story on how the thing went down. Speaking of things like that, you mentioned to me that Reddit's doing a Fallout gift exchange.
Yes, they are, and there will be a link probably in the description. I'm guessing.
We'll throw that down there for sure.
And so yeah, it's attention all gamers, release of Fallout 4 is looming, and the Reddit gifts is getting ready. We're holding our first ever Bethesda Softworks gift exchange. The signups started September 21st and end October 5th. So by the time this comes out, you'll probably have like a week to sign up for it. And the shipping is by October 23rd. So basically what you do is if you make something or you purchase an extra something that's Bethesda related that you want to give to someone, you can, sign up for the gift exchange and exchange cool Bethesda type gifts with other people. It's really fun. If you've never took part in a gift exchange, it's actually really nice, and you get to interact with really cool people too that enjoy the same things that you do. So
yeah, I might just do it based on the fact that it's so crazy. It's gift exchange over the internet. It's just this is the world we live in, and that's actually really awesome. So yeah, if you guys are interested in that, we'll definitely have a link down in the description below. I'm still just baffled by why it says Wayne Gretzky Hockey under Bethesda Softworks. But we'll leave that to someone who's more informed than us as to why that exists. All right, so that covers the... Actually, no, we do have one more piece of news. It's more of a news discussion topic in case you guys haven't seen it over on the official Bethesda Softworks YouTube channel. Good old Todd Howard narrated a video revealing how the Fallout perk chart is going to work, and it is not only really cool how the system actually works, you now actually have a set of perks that goes with each of the different special statistics, so strength, perception, so on and so forth, but you also get this awesome little animated perk chart inside of your Pip-Boy. It's the coolest thing ever, man.
Yeah, it is really cool, and I wasn't I didn't know what to expect when I first saw it, and I was like, well, this probably might work. Even without a level cap, it will take you a very, very long time to max out everything. So I'm totally okay with that, and looking forward to seeing what other, because they only revealed the charisma related perks. They were basically displaying that, oh, charisma is no longer a dump stat. Cool. Now we actually have to use charisma if we want to be I guess master manipulators. That's kind of how they were displayed as.
Yeah, I love what they're doing with the tree. It just feels like there's so much more opportunity to build a very specific character, because if you guys don't understand how it works after you watch the video, or if you're not gonna watch the video, I'll explain it really quickly. So you have a category for strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck, and then each of those have 10 tiers. So say you decide that you're going to build a character that is literally pure strength. You can't do anything else. You suck at life. All you can do is lift up really heavy objects, and you put 10 strength in, then you can go ahead and immediately gain access to the level 10 perk with strength, which might let you...
There are limitations as well. There's level requirements themselves, so you can't get the maximum tier right off the bat, but you will have access to it sooner than other people.
So that's going to be, it's going to be interesting. And like you said, we're looking at all these, and all we have right now is pictures because they're keeping them as a surprise. There's a chart, and you just kind of have to guess, what is this? He's, running away from an atom bomb. He's standing in a pool of water. He's walking with a rabbit that looks like he has, a 5 o'clock shadow.
Yeah, and the perks displayed too. They each have additional ranks to them, and which can give additional effects too. I think Todd Howard was saying, if you get the what's the unarmed one, Iron Fist, and you max that out, you get paralyzing palm, and that's all within the same perk. So you rank that to full, you can paralyze everything with your bare fists, like the good old times of Fallout 3 in New Vegas, how broken it is.
It's gonna be cool. I'm excited for that. And at the end, like we said, the animations for each of the little, perks is just so freaking cool, man. I could just watch those all day long. So definitely go check out that video if you guys haven't. Like you said, you get to hear the wonderful voice of Todd Howard narrate it, and you get to see some more awesome Fallout hype material. So in case your hype train was running low on fuel, there you go. You got some more.
All aboard.
All aboard, indeed. So this is a new segment that we wanted to introduce. We talked about this when we first started the PIPCAST, and we're finally going to do it for the first time. And we're going to do a lore segment. We wanted to pick a piece of lore that we thought was particularly interesting and do a little bit of discussion on it. And this one was chosen by you, Kato, so I'll let you go ahead and kick the whole thing off.
All right. This is about the twin mothers, and I'm going to probably read a bit of an a bit of the wiki page on them. The Twin Mothers are based out of Vault 29, which, as you know, is not really a vault that's canon at all right now. But it was intended for Van Buren, or the original Fallout 3. So I'm going to go over the background a little bit. When the war started, people retreated to their assigned vaults, sealed the doors, and awaited an unknown future. There were no set times for the vaults to open, since no one knew with any certainty how long the effects of the war would last. As a result, some vaults opened too soon, some too late, and some not at all. One vault, however, opened at the perfect time, and that's Vault 29. It had populated shortly before the war began, and the door sealed. It remained sealed for over a generation, and the original occupants had long since passed away. Their children lived on under the tutelage of the vault's central computer and its robotic helpers. The children were taught to respect nature and life, how to grow crops and tend livestock, and about the goddess Diana, who would one day return to deliver her people to paradise. Every year, a robot warden left the vault to see if the world outside could once again support humanity. None returned, and the people awaited patiently. Another year passed, and yet another robot warden was prepared for its journey into the outside world. The children of the vault, now grown into adults, stood at the door and bid their companion farewell and safe journey. They watched as the door slowly rolled open and then shielded their eyes at the sight that it revealed. Standing in the hallway was a brilliant, glowing apparition of a beautiful, beautiful young woman clothed in a golden aura. In one hand, she held a stalk of corn, in the other, a sheaf of wheat. The goddess Diana had returned at last. There's quite a bit. There's quite a bit to it for something that's not that wasn't finished. But there's a major reference made by Ulysses in the Lonesome Road expansion for New Vegas. That's the only time you hear about the twin mothers. If Ulysses survives Lonesome Road, and you talk to him at the end, he teaches you how to make bitter drink, and he speaks of the twin mothers, and they actually created bitter drink. So there's a lot more to it too. Let's see if I can find it. In the days before the war, scientist Derek Greenway proposed that technology would not survive the war. It was his belief there were two kinds of people in the world: producers and consumers. That's pretty straightforward. He thought that everything would degrade to barbarism. Derek envisioned a vault populated by a primitive culture without a dependency on technology such as culture, without a dependency on technology. Such a culture, if properly developed, would be able to survive a war and continue the human race. Eventually, they would evolve and rediscover the knowledge that mankind had lost. The production of the vault proposed no problem. His company, Greenway Hydroponics, was already involved in several government projects along such lines. However, finding the proper people to populate the vault was a concern. The answer to this problem came when he learned of a cult in the western United States. A group of people disgruntled by life in the hectic cities had formed a commune. They developed an agrarian culture with simple beliefs based on the worship of Mother Earth. And eventually, when they're in the vault, it's worshipping the moon and sun, the goddess and her consort. And unfortunately, most people viewed them as a nest of communists and demanded their arrest. This is pre-war. In order to keep peace, the local government was poised to do so until Derek intervened. He offered the cult an opportunity to continue their simple lives without fear of prosecution. All they had to do was agree to join his experimental vault program, and the end result is them going to Vault 29. And then being sealed within when the Great War started. Vault 29 would have a ZAX supercomputer, or ZAX supercomputer, similar to John Henry Eden. And it would be programmed to raise children with the aid of robotic helpers. So
it's kind of like
it's a giant nursery, basically.
It's weird because he goes on all about dude's so about primitive primitive culture, but then he basically builds a test facility for a culture that is controlled 100% by technology at its core.
And the after effect too is the twin mothers are based on the Anasazi Indians, or architecturally anyway. Because after the Great War, they end up living in a cliffside dwelling. like in the cliffside. So
yeah, you see they kind of get like fake sample picture. That's cool. Too much background stuff in this.
There's
game.
so much background stuff, and this is something that doesn't even exist.
Yeah, right. I mean, the fact that it was expanded upon so much, but that's probably the great thing about, I mean, any sort of medium, films, games, and stuff like that. So much stuff ends up being created and then not being used. But also so often, at the end of the day, the director, whoever's behind it, says, hold on to that. I still want that to maybe be canon one day. We're just never gonna put it in any games. Yeah. We'll just reference it. Someone else will reference it 4 years from now after the release. Well after the release of our original product.
Yeah. This was Interplay, and then of course Obsidian, since a lot of them were Interplay peoples. They adopted a lot of the ideas from Van Buren because like there was nothing else that was going to happen with it anyway. So
yeah, why not? That's probably what made Fallout New Vegas so great in the end. I feel like it wasn't even, especially when you consider the development cycle was so close to 3. It wasn't even really about like how can we improve on 3. It was just them like looking back at their roots, saying let's make our own Fallout game. Very much still following the core of Fallout 3, but that's why we got all the cool mechanics in New Vegas that don't exist in 3.
Yeah, and the major difference too was of course being on the West Coast as opposed to the East Coast.
Yeah, location.
And continuing that chain of events, like the NCR overexpanding or expanding too much too quickly, and learning about tribals more so. Like how many tribals are in Fallout 3? Like there's the ones in Point Lookout. I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, there's no one else. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's definitely different styling.
There's a lot of tribes on the West Coast, as you can tell by Caesar's Legion. So
they did a good job, like making sure that they still. I mean, with both games, 3 does a good job of capturing the fact that it was in DC. This was once a city.
Oh yeah,
and like you said, New Vegas does a fantastic job of saying, yes, it's a wasteland, but really, you're also kind of on the outskirts of the original wasteland. The deserts, in Vegas and stuff like that.
Yep.
So. Good job with that. They definitely, yeah. I'm excited to see, now that we see we're gonna have another game finally that comes along that is modern. That's gonna be able to tell yet another location with another group of factions and stuff, and just kind of start to entwine characters and story even a little bit more.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on to the discussion for this week, some of you guys over on Kato's channel were very adamant about hearing what we had to say regarding our favorite companions and favorite weapons. So I figured we'd start off with that. In terms of favorite companions, I'm going to go first just because I don't have any.
Go for it.
I played solo pretty much my entire Fallout experience. Kato and I were talking a little bit before this, and I was like, there was that one chick from like the NCR camp. I think she was with me for like a day, and that was Cass. So I kind of remember her. She was cool, but I also remember my problem with Fallout, and luckily this is going to change in Fallout 4, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later, is that I was always so paranoid about my my companions dying. I would just be like, just go sit in the house. Like Skyrim, my wife and like all of my companions, they just chilled in my house and ate bread pudding all day long. I just did everything else, and I was okay with that. I'm like, no, you just be safe. I don't want to have to watch you. I'll just, it's all right. Just stay there.
Yeah, but you're all about the role playing too, huh? So.
Yeah, I definitely like to get into that. So
you want to make sure that as many survive as possible, which makes sense.
So what about you, Kato? You've somebody who's honestly much more versed than I am when it comes to all of the different, the companions and Fallout and things of that nature. Who's been some of your favorites?
There is so many. Okay, so Fallout 1, you have Ian, and there's I didn't play enough like Fallout 1. Like I played it all the way through, but I think I got Ian and then didn't bother getting anyone else because he was just a beast with an SMG. Just don't stand in front of him. You don't want to do that. And then Fallout 2, I remember all the companions in that one because I played that one the most. You had Sulik, who was a tribal, very good with sledgehammers. And then you had Cassidy, Cass's father. You had, who was a bartender. And you had Vic, who was a captured slave, forced to fix the slaver's radio. And you had Marcus, the mutant mayor of Broken Hills. You had Lenny. He's a ghoul medic. You had Myron, the creator of Jet.
Oh god.
Canon, he got stabbed to death by a Jet addict, so it's good.
It all comes around.
Then you had, of course, you had Dogmeat. You had Dogmeat in both, or all of them, basically. You had the robotic dog companions. There was 2 in Fallout 2, so you could actually just have a full pack of dogs if you wanted. You had Gorus, the albino Deathclaw, an albino intelligent Deathclaw. That was a weird combination. Let's see, Skynet. You could put Skynet in a brain bot and bring him around to learn about humanity and stuff like that. I feel like I'm missing one somewhere.
Well, if you had to pick a favorite from Fallout 3, since that's what you're playing right now, who would it be?
Yeah, that's what I'm playing. I'm not playing through with any companions like at this very moment because
companions right now.
Yeah, but so we got Fox, we have Sergeant RL3, the Dogmeat, Jericho, Star Paladin Cross. I don't know. I usually just went with Jericho because he was a, small guns dude. Oh, and Charon. No, I went with Charon all the time. Because yeah, because he had unlimited ammo for his combat shotgun. So
I guess it was always hard for me. Like, you and I were talking a little bit how it would be cool if you could, somehow have like squad control over your team, like almost like they did with Inquisition, Dragon Age. And it's like, I guess for me, that was a big part of it too, is like, I just kind of felt like companions were they were like meat shields. I was like, yeah, I just don't really want to bring him along. So it's nice to already see, what we're seeing with, with Dogmeat in Fallout 4. He's much more useful companion. He can search out for things and bring back ammunition. And
yep,
it'll be nice to see more companions that we meet. Hopefully they have their own sort of things down the road. But
yeah. I kind of wish Marcus was a recruitable companion in New Vegas as well, but that was no such luck. Because I would have preferred him over everybody else. But Arcade Gannon with a for New Vegas anyway, Arcade Gannon with a Gauss rifle, and let's see, or Veronica with a ballistic fist was my companions for New Vegas.
Yeah, I literally did not have. I can't remember one single companion in Fallout New Vegas. I must have really just ignored them all. Then like, hey, you want me to join your party? I just saved your life. No, that's fine. I think I'll go alone.
Yeah.
Thank you anyways. All right, so apart from companions, our favorite weapons. Yeah. You can start with this one, Kato.
I was going to say you go first because...
All right, I'll go first. Actually, I just have 2. I mean, there's obviously a lot of really enjoyable firearms and tools and weirdness in Fallout in general, but if I had to pick 2, they'd both be Fallout 3, the railway rifle and the Fat Man. I actually don't even know if either. Well, I know the Fat Man was in New Vegas. I don't know about the railway rifle though, but the railway rifle was the first weapon.
That was the only one. That was just in 3. So far.
That was just in 3, right? Yeah, that was the first weapon that I ever crafted in 3. So that thing was just fun because it was like the Fat Man. It had a really unique set of like sounds and noises, like the ding of the dinner bell for the Fat Man was unforgettable, and then the railway rifle, that sort of just heavy steampunk feel to it.
It sounds like Hype Train.
Yeah, it does. Hype Train. Plus, there's nothing better than launching a 6-inch railway spike through someone's face at point blank range.
Yeah.
So
and then those 2 pinning it to the nearest wall.
Yeah, pinning exactly. That was probably the best part of it. And that felt so out of the ordinary for Fallout because there wasn't a lot of like mechanics like that. So I didn't expect that to work. I remember when I did it for the first time. I'm like, there's no way it'll pin it. Oh, it did. Okay, that's cool. I mean, other than that, like, I had a lot of fun with the Chinese stealth sword when Operation Anchorage came out, but that was just because at that point I was so OP. It was like stealth suit, crouch, insta-gib, death claws. It kind of just was overempowered, but that's the 3 I'd have to say. All the unique weapons in the game were always cool, but honestly, if I had enough nukes, I would just use the Fat Man 24/7. I'd kill rad roaches with the Fat Man if I could, because it's that much fun just to hear that ding.
Just can. Or just because you can, yeah. But
so how about you then, Kato?
Well, anybody watching the Let's Play, it's more of a preference of what kind of situation I'm going to be in. I've been making full use of the perforator, which is a unique version of the infiltrator rifle in the pit. It requires 90 ingots turned in to get it, but it is extremely useful and can be repaired with just about any assault rifle. So, and it's silent.
Can't go wrong
So
there.
you can at full sneak, you can just sneak around and nobody knows where you are if it's dark, and you could be like right next to them, shooting them in the face, and they won't even realize it. And but perforator's nice, and also if I run into an enemy that's just like I don't feel like dealing with this guy, freaking bottle cap mines. Bottle cap mines are usually my go-to. I know we were talking about nuke grenades. They require quantums, which I'm still in the process of collecting for Sierra. So I haven't made any yet, but nuke grenades are also really
Yeah,
nice.
I don't even want to, like, I hope they're in Fallout 4, just because I can't believe that I've spent like 1,000 hours in Fallout 3 and I have not even, I didn't even know those existed. I've never thrown or crafted one nuke grenade in my entire life.
And you need to.
I'm gonna have to like boot up Fallout 3 just for that. I'll be like, I found my end game of Fallout 3, because I still, could go back and play my original save on 360 if I brought it out, and I'll just be like, all right, I found my end game. I made a nuke grenade.
Also, yeah, unarmed unique weapons. I just love those. Like that's my main favorite. If I had a general favorite.
It's funny how, at least for me personally, whenever you talk about like doing this whole podcast, right, has made me realize I love Fallout 3. I love New Vegas a lot. But the game, like, for me, didn't do so many things right. And for me, that was, I think, a lot of the reasons that I avoided using things like bottle cap mines. And, like, I don't know what it was about those things, but I just never, like, spec'd or did anything to make sure that they were useful enough for me. And it's probably just because the way that I personally played the game. And I feel like, for some reason, just everything happening with the way the Fallout 4 perk system and stuff is going to work, I feel like I'm just going to be so much more compelled to build very specific, like, character, setups and, to use certain things just to get better with them. I just feels different.
Yeah. It's going to be different. It's going to be a different experience.
It's going to be different. I mean, it should be. Everybody's like, yes, Tony, it's going to be different.
It better be different.
You're crazy. All right, so hopefully that answers your guys' questions for that.
DC Wasteland 2.0.
DC Wasteland. Oh, man. So speaking of all this crazy content and things like that, mods, right? Now, I know there's like half a bazillion discussions we can have about mods. There was a tiny bit of news regarding them. We basically, Todd Howard, after they did their Bethesda conference, he said it's not just Xbox One exclusive for mods. PS4 is also going to get them, and of course PC is going to have them.
No, without PC there wouldn't be any.
Exactly, there would be no mods without PC. That would be it'd be odd, it'd be cool to see some sort of a mod system on a console, but that would probably never ever happen. Everything will just be a PC at that point.
Yeah.
Your console will be a PC.
Yeah. I feel like Xbox and PC are gonna fuse one day. It's gonna be like, hey, customize your Xbox.
They're already kind of getting to that point. I mean, like, Xbox One's gonna have a new dashboard that's based on Windows 10 now, and like you said, one day it'll just be actually be really cool. I'd be completely on board for that. Microsoft just says, hey, this is our gaming variant of our own Windows PC. Yep. It's more powerful, put all this custom stuff on it. That'd be cool. Anyways, we'll save that for another podcast in a far, far away land where we're doing a tech podcast. I don't actually know what I want to talk about with mods. I put it on here and now I'm realizing we kind of already talked about that. And mods are cool. Mods are great. We hope lots of people make mods. Let's just leave it at that, I guess.
Yeah, for Fallout 4, there's going to be, I think somebody called it, I think it was like Gopher or something like that. One of the very first mods are making like killable companions.
Oh God, of course.
Because Dogmeat, according to Todd Howard, Dogmeat and many other companions won't be killable. They'll go into knockdown state, but they won't die.
Yeah, that's a perfect segue then. We'll just go right into our discussion on that, which is no companion permadeath.
Yeah.
Companions don't die, which I am 100% on board for because, like I said, all it ever felt like, and I bet you like 100% of people did this, you get a companion, and then as soon as you realize they die, you're like, all right, where was my last save? 25 minutes ago? Looks like I'm redoing the last 25 minutes. It's like no one actually wants to deal with that if you really enjoy a companion. It just feels like because of the way that most people are going to play the game, you might as well, like you said, just have them go into sort of down but not out state, you know, and then res them and go on from there. I'm on board with that 100%. But if somebody wants to make a mod where the first thing you do is hack dog meat in half because there's something seriously wrong with you, then feel free.
Might happen.
I don't know why you'd ever want to do that to poor dog meat.
I don't know. I like, I wouldn't say hack in half. I like punching things, though. I can't.
There are a lot of enemies, I'm sure, in this world, but you know,
oh
some
yeah,
people...
for sure. But for me, I'm kind of the camp that I think companions should be smart enough to keep themselves alive and have the potential to die on their own.
I guess that is kind of like the side of it when you look at why the companions were like so frustrating in 3 New Vegas is because they were very inept at doing anything.
They couldn't heal themselves. They were just smart enough to shoot back. Like, that's most of it, yeah.
In the case of dog meat, he would just, you know, attack 6 rad scorpions no matter how much you tried to say, hey, let's leave. Like, we can't win this fight. We're level 4. We shouldn't have been here. And he's just like, nope, I'm just gonna get killed. And you're like, ah.
Yeah, and if I can mention the buddy system in Metal Gear Solid 5, the companions in that were quite well. Like they had the potential to get, you know, put into a critical condition, and they would be Fultoned out for a certain period of time, and then you'd have to, you know, call them back as a supply drop.
See, that could be a good trade-off.
So,
like
that, yeah, like
have them become disabled, and you can't use them for a certain amount of game time. Like dog meat's resting, he's healing his wounds. He's out of combat. That's a great idea. Yeah. Somebody make that mod day 1. There you go. I'll play the entire game like that if someone makes that mod.
Fulton dog meat.
So this was really well constructed choice of discussions that we did for the mechanics here, because let's talk a little about the creation engine, right? You know, the engine that a lot of people endlessly bashing for its lack of visual, you know, quality, which I completely disagree on. And if anything, that small video that we got for the perks with the Pip-Boy just made me realize like how well they've actually done with that engine. I still think Skyrim's gorgeous without mods to this day, so I don't think that's the issue that people should concern themselves with, but I do think there's a lot to discuss regarding its actual, you know, the limitations of its core code. Like,
yeah.
I'm still shocked, actually, because when you look at what's been done with Fallout 3 and New Vegas with the same engine, you're kind of like, how are they doing any of the stuff they're doing in Fallout 4 with that engine, you know? So
yeah,
I think there are benefits to them hanging onto the engine. I think a lot of that has to do with, you look at the size of the game. This is obviously going to be a massive world, and it's only 28 gigs. That's clearly a pretty well optimized package.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, because of having an engine for so long, but
and the way they were talking too, like about the details, like the computer, the panels on the computers and the machinery and stuff like that, and the amount of texture space alone in that game, I feel like that's going to be like 20, maybe more gigs of that file size that they mentioned.
Yeah, right.
And then the rest of it's going to be packages of both dialogue and music, and then that's going to be the game.
Yeah, there you go.
Of course, the code. You know,
yeah, I don't think that engine is. You know, people like to say that engine is so outdated, but I really don't think it is. It's like, how much more do you want the engine to do? I don't know why everybody wanted Fallout 4. There's so many people who I've talked to, like, you know, on the internet more so, who talk about the game, like them wanting it to just look so much better. I'm like, you know, I think number one, I say this all the time, we need to reevaluate what we look at as, you know, impressive visuals. Yeah. I don't think every game has to just be like, oh my god, look at the poly count on that, you know, that rock and the rain on it. I'm like, I could care less about that. Like, I want you to capture a theme, a mood, you know, I want you to make the game feel very much alive. And the small clips of what we've seen of Fallout 4, I feel like the game has very much done that. And
they've achieved that.
It doesn't have to be Crisis.
Yeah, and you have to... They did their best to make it a believable world too, at least from what we saw. Like everything, No, I talked about this on holotapes. I'm going to talk about it here too now. That they took out the what's it called? The size comparison between the enemies and the player is much greater.
Yeah, I mean, you see the Deathclaw now looks like properly big.
Proportions. That's the word I'm looking for. Proportions look more legit, and everything has even though the game itself looks more colorful, the all of the like enemies that you were seeing throughout the game and the people, they have, I guess, more neutral tones to them. Like when you saw the behemoth show up, it wasn't like bright yellow green. It was more of a, you know, darker, like almost muddy green.
Yeah, it's like you don't want to say they feel more real, but they do. Like everything just looks more, you know, all in the same place. And like I'm gonna take a still of it and I'm gonna throw it in the video for you guys because I want everyone to like drool all over this. But that small moment in the Fallout 4's character system video, you know, we see Todd Howard. He's standing on this like broken down road. You can see sort of a older style house up to the left that's on like a stone foundation, and then like the tree, like everything just looks so alive, despite the fact that it's all very dead. And like you said, I think the proportions, it's actually the perfect thing. For me, that was always a huge problem with a lot of games as we moved into the different generations of consoles, especially, is you'd play these shooters where you're standing next to this four-door sedan and you're like, why is the sedan, you know, at my crotch? I'm pretty sure it should be at my shoulders. And, you know, you can get a good perspective of it just in this image. You can see the picket fence on the right side. It feels like it's a proper height for a fence, you know?
Yeah.
And definitely a lot of that has to do with how, you know, immersed the player will be when they're walking through a small town.
They had to deal with scaling like the entire time too. Like they did the same thing with the DC Wasteland. Like if you don't know, everything is scaled down.
Yeah. Because
there's just so much ground they're covering when they make the game. But it seems like enemies are, or everything else seems to be proportioned really, really well with the character in comparison to the previous Fallout games. So I'm really looking forward to that.
The game just looks incredible.
And the Yaoguais actually look like 3 times to 4 times your size instead of twice.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to run up against your first, you know, super mutant behemoth for the first time, you know, and actually. The spectacle of that's going to be cool. I'm looking forward to all that stuff.
Like, it was pretty outrageous in Fallout 3, too. Like, that's the only one that was actually scaled huge.
It's very outrageous. Just replayed that fight like a couple months ago when I started playing Fallout 3 and again. I was like, holy crap, I don't remember that guy being that obnoxiously big.
Yeah.
In a very small area. And then they're like, shoot a nuke at it. And I'm like, oh, this whole thing's insane.
I did a little montage during that part in my my Let's Play. I think that was like episode, what, 20-something? 29? 28? Something like that. It was cool. I stole 3 Dog's hat.
Stole 3.
He's still alive.
He's
just wearing a power armor helmet now.
Well, you know, he's just, I mean, he likes to roleplay. He always wishes he was a member of the Brotherhood of Steel.
That's right. He's fighting the good fight.
So I think, I mean, yeah, just closing on that, everyone hates the creation engine apparently, but it's probably going to actually stick around for a little bit longer. I can't see Bethesda actually, maybe after Fallout 4, that'll be kind of their rest break where they'll say, you know, they've got, you know, a bunch of technical wizards behind them, you know, id especially, let's, you know, revamp this engine. But I can't see them, you know, doing anything from the ground up. It's obviously an engine that works for them really well. I think, yes, we can sit here for 4.5 days and talk about all the small bugs and issues that the thing has. But, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of Fallout, right? It's almost like we're all okay with that as long as it doesn't turn into a Skyrim thing and people can't play half their story.
Want to hear a crazy amount of speculation / hope?
Go for it.
Kojima left Konami Studios. If he were to get the rights to the Fox engine and moved over to Bethesda, holy crap.
That would be something.
Fox engine, Fallout.
We could really see what the Fox engine can do. I mean, all we have right now is the visual spectacle of MGS5, but soon we have all these, you know, next thing you know, you're playing Fallout 5 and you're climbing up the crack in the side of a canyon back in New Vegas.
That's right.
About to snipe a Yaoguai that's feeding off of a dead
and you
cow.
can drive.
in their cars. I'm telling you, man, the day that they do any sort of like build your own custom buggy / motorcycle in Fallout, that is just like gonna be so cool.
I think they're waiting until it's perfect. I think that's what they're doing.
They have one guy just in a room like, all right, we don't know when this is going in the game, but you need to make a car and you need to make it run really well inside of Fallout. He's like, well, it didn't work in 3, clearly, because there's just too much weird stuff going on with the ground. I couldn't imagine actually driving anything in that game, especially if the physics weren't, like, dialed. Like,
oh, yeah.
I can, like, when you ever do the motorcycle mod for Fallout 3?
I either tried it or I watched a lot of the reviews on it, and it looked pretty janky.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I see it being if Bethesda actually had put motorcycles in the game in Fallout 3 back then. It would just been, like, terrible, so it's probably a good thing that they did it.
Yeah.
Alright, so now for the time in the podcast where we close down and we talk about what else we've been playing. So, obviously still Metal Gear going on. We're not going to talk about that. We're all still trying to play Metal Gear. It's way too big. I'm only at 11%. Makes me cry a little bit when I think about how not far into it I actually am. But apart from that, some other stuff has come out. Right now, I've been playing a lot of the Rainbow Six Siege closed beta. That's actually been a lot of fun. And I just picked up Bedlam, but Kato, you've been playing a lot of Bedlam, and this is very much a Wasteland-themed game, so let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay, so, oh man, Skyshine's Bedlam, I streamed it as this podcast comes out, I streamed it last weekend, and I have, of course, those streams up for other people to view if they would like.
Definitely link them down below for you guys. Click them, check them out.
Yeah, it's described as a roguelike with an arcade-style strategic turn-based combat set in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. It's got a blitz battle system, which is kind of like a 2-action version of chess. So you make 2 moves each turn. So you can either move 2 units, or attack with 2 units, or move a unit and attack with another, or any combination, just 2 actions. So it speeds up the combat process much more quickly, like comparing to XCOM, for example. Like, that's pretty much all of XCOM's gameplay is just the missions. Like, and then of course you got the base management, but it's mainly just the missions. But for Bedlam, it's more the exploration and getting your team well-rounded enough to get to end game. So you start in Byzantine, and you have to travel a pretty big distance south in something called a dozer, which has a lot of passengers, and then you have your away team. And then you get down to Aztec City, and you can offload all your passengers, and then you have to make the trip back up to Byzantine, and in which case that's when endgame starts, and you have to fight King Viscera, the boss of Bedlam, which I won't spoil. I mean, if you want to see spoilers, it's in the stream. But it is really fun. It's very wastelandy. It's got rogue AI and mutants and cyborgs and humans and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah, I really dig the art style for that game. Actually, before it came out, I was actually really following art style. Yeah, following one of the lead developers, because he does a lot of art. He actually does his own graphic novel series about like a pig. I've never actually checked it out, but he has like this whole bunch of artwork on it and stuff, and it's all kind of, you can tell it has his touch in it. And I think that's what kind of attracted me to that game in the first place. But I actually just picked it up like before the podcast. I haven't even played it yet, so I'm looking forward to playing it. And
the music in it is good. The sound effects are really, really satisfying. So like you use one of the dozer weapons on the enemies, you're just like, yes, every time it goes off.
That's always important. Sound's definitely important. I'm looking forward to it. The game looks super cool, and like you said, I think the biggest thing for me was that I actually liked that combat system. Like, was very appealing to me, because as much as I love XCOM, sometimes you just want to sit down and you want to play something that doesn't take 4.5 hours just to finish a combat sequence.
Yeah.
There were moments in XCOM where, as much as I enjoyed the game, I felt like I was just like, let's trudge through another one of these UFO landings. You know, and like a big part of XCOM, at least on the harder difficulties, is you literally have to move slowly at the start.
No, you do. Oh man, you do.
Yeah, it's just like, and sometimes that gets irritating. It's like you'll cover, 25 minutes of empty ground just because you were worried that there might have been one sniper there. And it's like, so I could see the change of pace is definitely going to be It's gonna be
I will warn everybody though ahead of time, like this game will kick your butt. Like the first few times you play, expect to lose. Because it's not an easy game, but once you start getting accustomed to you know how the map works, using the points of interest, upgrading your dozer, very important. Go for fuel efficiency and then squad healing.
Yeah,
those are your two primaries.
It's a funny game on Steam, right? And I hope it still sells really well. I know
Yeah.
like Angry Joe was really big behind them, so I hope they do some good sales, because you can see almost all of the negative reviews on Steam are just people who are like, it's too hard, this is broken, not fair, and you know, they gave up. It's
Yeah.
obviously a game that appeals to a you know, certain type of person.
The people that don't like the hand holding, like this game won't hold your hand. It'll just be like, oh, you died.
Yeah.
You have to restart.
It was just so weird when I saw the review, like those negative reviews. I know
yeah.
it's like whatever, it's just Steam reviews, but for me, I'm just like, I know there's like an audience out there that loves this kind of crap. That's why Dark Souls is doing so well. It's like, why is this game, you know, attracting this crowd? And I think, you know, I have to admit, as a developer, like early on, they didn't show much of their game. You know, like we learned a little bit about the combat system and things like that. And I think maybe people were just expecting something more XCOM, less.
Yeah.
XCOM Iron Man mode times 10.
Oh, jeez. I tried it. It kicked my butt.
Yeah, I almost feel like this, you know, from what I've seen, I watched some of your streams, like, this seems more fair than Iron Man mode. At least it doesn't ask you to dedicate 6.5 hours of your time to one fight like Iron Man mode does.
Oh, by far. Yeah. The Let's Play I did of XCOM, which was a catastrophic failure, was a classic Iron Man, never again.
So if you guys are interested in seeing more of Skyshine, be sure to check out Kato's streams. I mean, you have like, what, you have like 10 hours of gameplay across the two streams, right?
About 8.5.
So 8.5, so yeah, plenty of footage there.
That's 2 full runs, actually. Like, I got to the very end of the run on the first stream, so I beat it twice on the second stream.
Nice. That's awesome.
So
go check those out. We'll have them down in the description below, as well as any other relevant links regarding the topics that we've talked about today. Feel free to click away at those, and of course, provide your feedback. If there's anything you guys would like to see featured on the PIPCAST, whether it be any discussion topics or questions that you have for us that are Fallout related, be sure to throw them down in the comment section below, and we'll see about fitting them into an upcoming show. Once again, thank you guys for joining. This has been our 3rd episode of the PIPCAST. We're already on episode number 3, still going strong. Fallout 4's release.
I mentioned last week.
It's getting closer every day, and if you haven't seen episode 2, that was probably the most awesome second episode of a podcast anyone could ever had. Of course, we interviewed the epic Mark Rao, a voice actor of General Snake Vargas in Wasteland 2, as well as half a dozen other awesome characters. That was probably one of the most awesome interviews ever. First interview, I think, for myself as well as for Kato, and it was just a ton of fun. Please, if you haven't seen that, go check it out. Lots of cool stuff there. Mark's an awesome guy, and we are definitely looking to do some more interviews with other people down the road. Stay tuned to the PIPCAST for more Fallout awesomeness, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
May you wander the wasteland like you own it.